Hey, I'm Abby and welcome back to the Life Work Balance YouTube channel. Today is part 2 in a 3-part series on how you could potentially use ChatGPT in the job search process. Last week I released a video that was specifically on how you could use ChatGPT in the pre-contemplation process, the time when you're still in a current position and you're not quite ready to leave that position, but you're thinking it might be time to find a new job. Today I want to share with you information on how you can use ChatGPT or other AI tools, artificial intelligence tools, to actually aid you in the job research process. This is an important step in the job search process overall because without that research, you're not going to be as effective as you could be at finding a job that is the right fit for you. Before we jump into that, please go ahead and give this video a thumbs up if you're looking forward to learning a little bit about how you can use AI tools, specifically ChatGPT, in your job research process. And if you haven't already, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button as well as the bell so that you can receive life-work balance advice delivered directly to you every Sunday. So if you haven't already watched the videos, I have one video that is just a general overview on how you can use ChatGPT and other AI tools to aid you in the job search process. Then I have a more specific video that touches on exactly how you could use ChatGPT in the pre-job search process. So when you're not quite ready to start applying to jobs, but you're starting to think about it, you're needing to update your resume, your LinkedIn profile, etc. Now this video is going to focus specifically on how you can use ChatGPT to do your job search research. So I've got 6 potential prompts that you could use in this research stage. But before we jump into that, I want to make sure that we cover some considerations to keep in mind. The first is to treat your interaction with these AI tools, specifically ChatGPT, like a conversation with another person. You want to be descriptive and specific in the prompts that you give the program. You can't just say resume and expect it to generate a resume for you. You need to give it information so it can start to pull that information and use it in an effective way in its output. You can also ask the tool to be more specific, to tell you more, to expand on something, to do specific things with the outputs it's given you. So if it generates an output that is, say, too long for your liking, you can ask it to cut it in half. You can ask it to rewrite it in first person. You can ask it to get more specific in a certain area. So you'll want to test different prompts, different questions, and ways to interact with this tool to get you the output that you are specifically looking for. But along those lines, it's important not to rely on these tools 100%. You will use these tools as a framework. You'll want to make sure you use it as a rough draft. You will then take the output and you will put your own personal touch and spin on it. You'll personalize it to your experience, your knowledge, your skills, your abilities, true metrics or outcomes that you have actually engaged in. You won't just copy and paste this and use it as is. This will be a very rough draft that you will need to spend a little bit of time tweaking to make it personalized to you. It also generates errors sometimes, so you'll want to spend that time where you're editing it and modifying it, checking for errors. If, for example, it is writing a question that you could ask at the end of an interview, you want to make sure that that question is actually relevant to the interview that you're taking part in. There are also tools out there that can identify if something has possibly been written by AI. So if you are using these tools for your job search process, just keep that in mind, that if you don't personalize it enough, it could be flagged as something that was written by AI and not by a person. And that could actually work against you in the job search process. And then finally, before you actually move forward with implementing all of these AI generated outputs for yourself, I would highly recommend asking for someone else's feedback. This could be a mentor, a coach, a close family member or friend, someone who you trust to give you that honest feedback on how they think that this actually looks. Does this look like something that you would have generated? Does this make sense? Does it flow well? You could also work with someone like me to give you that feedback. So, the moment we've all been waiting for. What are some of the prompts that you could use to aid in your job research process? So I've come up with 6 prompts that I was able to use for possible job search research. And when you're engaging in job search research, you will be looking for possible job titles that you could apply to. And these could be job titles that are similar or alternative job titles in same industries or different industries than what you're currently in. You could ask the AI tool to create a list of companies that fit a certain criteria for you so that you can focus your search on companies that exist that might have these types of jobs available. And then another important part of the research process is informational interviews, talking with people who are actually in the industry that you want to work in to get some insight from them. What do they like about their job? What do they not like about their job? What do they like about their organization? What do they not like about their organization? So the very first prompt or 2 prompts that I used helped me generate alternative or similar job titles. So here are what those prompts look like. What are 10 similar job titles to training development specialist and facilitator in the public sector? Or what are 10 alternative job titles to training development specialist and facilitator in the tech industry? With each of those 2 prompts, ChatGPT generated me 10 possible job titles for someone who has experience being a training and development facilitator and specialist. These job titles could be in the public sector, the private sector, in the banking and finance industry, in the tech industry, etc. So again, when you're creating these prompts in ChatGPT and other AI tools, you want to be descriptive and specific. The third way that you can use ChatGPT specifically to help you do your job search research is to ask it to create or generate a list of companies that fit a certain criteria. So I asked ChatGPT the following question. Please generate a list of 10 companies who have a dedicated learning and development team and are in the top Fortune 500. ChatGPT generated 10 companies that are in the Fortune 500 and also have dedicated learning and development teams. It did also include a disclaimer that the data may be slightly outdated. So it's interesting because ChatGPT recognizes when it might make mistakes or when the information might not be as up to date as possible. The next prompt that I used was to generate a set of questions that you could potentially ask in an informational interview. So this is an interview where you reach out to someone who works in the industry or the exact job title or an organization that you're interested in. And you set up a 10 to 30 minute interview with them where you ask them about what they do, what they like to do, what they don't like to do, a day in their life, etc. So here is my prompt that I gave ChatGPT. What are 10 possible questions I could ask someone in the following position about their job? And in that same prompt, I copied and pasted a data analyst position that I had found online. And it generated 10 questions relevant to that data analyst position. So now that I've got the types of questions that I might want to ask someone, then I asked ChatGPT to generate a LinkedIn connection request message to someone so that I could have that connection with them on LinkedIn and then potentially ask them for that informational interview. So this is the prompt that I used to have ChatGPT generate a LinkedIn connection request message. Please generate a connection request message of no more than 300 characters that is friendly and mentions something unique from the summary below. And then I went to someone's profile, I copied their About Me section, and I pasted that into the same prompt. When you have a connection request message, you only have 300 characters if you're not using LinkedIn Premium. I don't even have LinkedIn Premium, so I'm limited to those 300 characters. So this is the output that ChatGPT generated for me. And the sixth and final prompt that I used with ChatGPT for the job search research stage was to create an email where I might be kind of cold emailing someone asking them for an informational interview. So this is the prompt that I used. Please write an email to Jane Doe, a career coach who started her own business, asking for an informational interview to learn more about how she started her own business and if she has any advice for someone who wants to do something similar. And here's the output from ChatGPT. So again, a word of warning. Do not just copy and paste exactly what ChatGPT has created for you. This is a starting place. This is your rough draft. Use this as that foundation and then tailor it, tweak it, specialize it, personalize it specifically to you. Again, This is a rough draft. Do not use it as the final product. This is a way to help us be more effective with our time when it comes to the job search process. So while we don't want to rely on these types of tools 100%, having them do the initial legwork of the writing process, get us over that kind of mental block of not being sure how to start this conversation, etc., is a great way to use the tools to our advantage. But again, we're not going to rely on them 100%. We're going to use them as that rough draft and then put our effort into it at the end to tweak it and personalize it. So I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up. And if you have any questions, comments, thoughts, or ideas on how you or others could potentially use ChatGPT in the job search research process, please go ahead and list them in the comments box below. I love receiving comments. I try to get back to each person who leaves me a comment individually. So if you do leave me a comment, please be patient while I get back to you. If you haven't already, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button as well as the bell so that you can receive life-work balance advice delivered directly to you every Sunday. Thanks, and I'll see you next week.